How easily can a poker legend rise and fall? This is the story of Scotty Nguyen.
You don't know how you are.
Yeah, he must be lucky he's got all the chips.
The poker star whose journey from triumph to tragedy is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Turning $7,000 into a multi-million-dollar bankroll to declaring bankruptcy and publicly admit his drug addiction. Poker is sick, so buckle up. This is going to be a bumpy ride that you don't want to miss.
We did it, man!
Early life and rise to fame. The early days of the Prince of Poker were wild. Scotty Nguyen was just another young kid, born as Tuan B. Nguyen on October 28, 1962, in the war-torn streets of Vietnam. Life wasn't exactly easy for little Scotty, but hey, this kid was born with a fighter's spirit. At just the age of 14, young Scotty decided to make a daring move that was set to change his life forever. He moved to the States in search of a better life. Talk about guts, right? Scotty had it in him ever since he was a child. Making his way to the land of opportunity, Scotty came to start off scratch in the state of Southern California. Now, life in America wasn't easy either. He worked a bunch of odd jobs trying to make ends meet. Like most young poker grinders, he started out small and worked his way up to become a legend. He took on roles such as busboy, dishwasher, and even a kitchen helper. But all the while, poker had been calling out his name. He was born to bluff, and in no time, Scotty got his first taste of poker in the smoky back rooms of California's card clubs. He started learning the tips and tricks to polish his skills and become a better player. Scotty would spend hours not just playing cards, but studying them, figuring out how to read people like open books. Before he even turned 20 years old, Scotty knew poker was his ticket to fame and fortune. He packed his bags and headed to the one place on earth where poker dreams could come true: Las Vegas. Vegas used to be called the Wild West of poker back in the 80s, and this was where Scotty picked up his nickname, the Prince of Poker. It amazingly took Scotty only 6 months from switching his life as a busboy to one of the scrappiest young poker players in town. He was fearless in Vegas, known to take on any game he could find, cutting his teeth in underground poker rooms and learning from the legends around him. His aggressive style and borderline reckless attitude quickly earned him a reputation as one of the rising stars in the poker world. People still remember his unique ability to read his opponents and push them to the edge. The guy had a knack for knowing exactly when to bluff and when to hold them. Scotty's fame is so profound, it can be summed up in one single sentence: his world-famous catchphrase. We've all seen him pulling it off confidently multiple times. In 1985, Scotty managed to build up his bankroll to $7,000. Now, he could take a gamble that might really change his whole life. He started playing high-stakes poker games, and by the end of the year, managed to turn that $7 grand into a cool $1 million. That's right, $1 million. Vegas couldn't stop talking about the new hotshot who was taking over the town by storm. He eventually started playing alongside poker legends like John Chan, Peggy Beerson, and David Gray. By this time, Scotty was living a high-profile life many other poker players could only dream of. At the famous hotel named Caesar's Palace in Vegas, his game had reached the peak level where he was winning anywhere between $50,000 to $900,000 a night. Yeah, you heard that right, $900,000 in one night. Everyone who witnessed him play was in awe of the Prince of Poker. Do you think Scotty Nguyen had the fastest rise to poker fame? Let us know in the comments below. Now, it wouldn't be fair to say that only the money made Scotty the star he had become. It was his larger-than-life personality and charisma that caused much of his fans' attention. The Prince of Poker was charming, he was funny, and he always gave off this unique and infectious energy that drew people in. Fans loved him, and so did other fellow poker players. Scotty wasn't just winning games, he was out there winning hearts. But unfortunately, the path to fame isn't always smooth. Our man Scotty faced his fair share of bumps along the way. Like all serious poker players, there were nights where luck wasn't on his side, and he lost big time. But the great thing about Scotty remained that each time he got knocked down, He got back up even stronger. He kept grinding, kept pushing, and kept believing in himself, which led to his iconic World Series of Poker main event win in 1998 that had the entire poker world buzzing. Keep watching, as we're about to start talking about this life-changing tournament further in the video. Let's get into it. The 1998 WSOP main event win. Life for Scotty finally took a turn for the good in 1998 when the poker player managed to break it big for himself. He entered the World Series of Poker WSOP main event even when he didn't have enough cash to buy in. Mike Matusow, a fellow poker veteran, deserves a special mention who literally made the way for Scotty's life-changing poker victory. Sensing something special in Scotty, Mike bankrolled a third of Scotty's buy-in.
Scotty's got a 9.
Scotty's got a 9. He flopped his 9 there.
What happened next was the rise of a poker player that the world had never seen. This game was nothing less than incredible. Scotty battled his way through the tournament, hand after hand, bluff after bluff. The final table was the real nail-biter though, where it all came down to a heads-up showdown with Kevin McBride. The tension was through the roof. The final hand was epically a full house, 8s over 9s. Scotty leaned over to McBride and dropped his iconic line. And guess what? McBride called, and boom. Scotty got his moment.
Scotty's got a 9.
Scotty's our new world champion.
The Poker Prince ended up beating McBride with a better full house, holding a 9, Jack, making the audience go crazy over what just happened. With this, he became the 1998 WSOP champion, getting a huge $1 million prize along with a gold bracelet to his name. Scotty made sure to split 1/3 of his winnings, $333,000, with Mike Matusow, who came in to give him a hand at the start of the tournament. His win wasn't just a victory, it was a clear statement telling the poker world that he had arrived and there was no going back. This big win, however, followed a tragic accident the very next day, where one of Scotty's brothers was hit and killed on the spot by a car back home in Vietnam. This horrific incident left a deep impact on Scotty, who never wore the gold bracelet he won in the 1998 WSOP main event. Imagine the mix of emotions Scotty was going through. Winning the main event was more about the bracelet, the title, and the respect he earned from the poker community than the money. Scotty had made it to the top, and he definitely did it with an uncanny and unique style, shining brightly into the limelight. He was now the toast of Vegas, appearing on multiple TV shows, giving interviews, and even starring in poker documentaries. He was living the dream, driving fancy cars and enjoying the high life. Scotty also became a player whose style was followed and adored by fans. He happened to be one of the first poker players who set the trend of wearing sunglasses during the game.
Scotty calls.
Oh my God, what is going on here? Could Scotty be slow playing a 9 here, Vince? I think that's the...
But through it all, Scotty remained the same low-key, down-to-earth guy who loved the game and loved his fans even more. No doubt, his early life and rise to fame speaks for itself. Scotty Nguyen didn't just play poker, the guy literally lived for poker. But hold on until you get to know the stunning downfalls that await his life story. Trust us, the upcoming lows were as intense as the highs. Stay tuned, because Scotty's story is far from over. Let's unfold how things suddenly turned cold for the professional poker player. Scotty Nguyen's story of downfall. You might be thinking by now, what suddenly happened to this successful poker player who had been killing it at the game? For Scotty, his ride going down was as wild as his rise to fame. The guy had been riding high, winning millions, living the dream, until the chips started to fall the wrong way. Being on top of the poker world, the inner pressure of being a star started to creep in. Fame isn't only glitz and glamour all the time, and for Scotty, it came with some serious baggage. The poker tables of Vegas became more of a battleground than a game for him, and the constant need to maintain his place at the top started to take its toll on Scotty. Amongst all this pressure, the poker player found himself turning to drugs. It turns out that was a really bad idea.
You mean yeah?
Have you ever seen me do that?
You're absolutely right, and I didn't realize that I was offending people, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Right?
Scotty was even famously seen doing drugs on camera immediately after his 1998 World Series of Poker win. Scotty's game started to suffer. The sharp, quick-witted player who could read the opponent's mind was now getting cloudy. He was seen making reckless decisions instead of the bold, calculated risks he was known for. Nights that used to end in huge wins were now ending in crushing losses. He was tilting more and more and becoming more emotionally attached to the outcome of the game. And the worst part was, the losses were piling up pretty fast. Around the mid-2000s, things started to really get out of control. Scotty's drug addiction was getting worse, and now it wasn't just affecting his poker game, but his personal life was taking quite a few blows too. The once vibrant and charming Scotty was turning into a shadow of himself. The poker community was watching one of their idols crash and burn, watching a legend implode. Financially, Scotty was also deep in trouble. When you're playing at the high-stakes tables, each swing is massive. 1 minute you're up $1 million, and the very next, you have no chips left. For Scotty, the losing streaks were becoming more frequent, and his drug addiction was leading him to make poor decisions, both on and off the table. His debts became too much to handle, and the money he had worked so hard to win was slipping through his fingers. By 2012, the situation hit rock bottom to a point where Scotty filed for bankruptcy, explaining the overwhelming debts and financial mismanagement. People couldn't believe it. The man who once held $1 million bankroll was now struggling to stay afloat. All his assets were liquidated, and the mighty poker star found himself at the darkest phase of his life. The poker world watched with heavy hearts as Scotty, their hero, fell from grace. His decline wasn't just about poker. Scotty's personal life was also left in shambles. The drug addiction led to strained relationships and erratic behavior. The once confident and charismatic Scotty was now unpredictable and volatile. Friends and fellow players watched helplessly as he had his continuous downfall with each passing day. The tables he once dominated were now places filled with bad beats and worse decisions. Scotty Nguyen's downfall is a reminder of how brutal fame can turn out to be. His story makes us realize how poker players also have to deal with struggles of mental well-being. It's not just the highs that define you, but how you handle the lows. And boy, did Scotty hit some serious lows. The drugs, declaring bankruptcy after winning millions of dollars, the personal chaos altogether was a perfect storm that nearly took him out. But if there's one thing we know about Scotty Nguyen, it's that he's a fighter. He didn't let the drug addiction eclipse who he was, and he didn't let the losses define him. He fought back, and that fight is a big part of who he is today. Scotty's story isn't over yet, but the dark days are definitely behind him. Keep watching because the comeback is always the best of the story, and we're getting into it further in the video. Road to recovery and current life status. Right after filing for bankruptcy, Scotty largely disappeared from the poker scene. The man who once commanded attention at every table now turned into a ghost. He had to step away from the game he loved to fight the biggest battle of his life against his addiction. But this wasn't exactly an easy overnight fix. Drug recovery was a long and tough road for Scotty, who had to take it one step at a time. He acknowledged his deteriorating health and proceeded to seek help, entering rehab and working hard to let go of the drug habit that had nearly destroyed him. It was a struggle, no doubt about it, with setbacks and relapses, but Scotty kept pushing through them. He knew that to get back to the top, he had to first win the fight going on within. Scotty needed to learn to cope with the pressures of fame and the temptations of the poker world without turning to drugs. Slowly but surely, he began to turn things around, both on and off the felt. Scotty surrounded himself with a support system of friends, family, and fellow poker players who believed in him. These people helped him stay grounded and focused on his goals. By opening up about his struggles, he found a new purpose and began to climb out of the darkness. Scotty's honesty and vulnerability were a far cry from the flashy, confident poker star everyone knew. But this change was exactly what he needed to start healing. As he worked on his drug recovery, Scotty also tried to step back into the poker world, but this time with a whole new perspective. He wasn't just playing to win, he was playing to prove to himself and the world that he could win without falling back into old habits. He started participating in smaller tournaments, capitalizing on the charisma that made him famous. The poker community, which had watched his downfall with sadness, now watched his comeback with hope and admiration. Scotty's story of recovery became a source of hope for many others struggling with drug addiction. He began to speak about his experiences, using his platform to raise awareness about the dangers of substance abuse. His message was simple: no matter how far you fall, you can always get back up. Fighters fight, and winners win. In addition to his advocacy work, Scotty also focused on giving back to the poker community. He started mentoring young players, sharing not just his skills, but also his life lessons. He wanted to ensure that new players understood the pressures that come with poker fame and success and how to handle them responsibly. Scotty's story was indeed a warning sign, but it was also a story of strength and determination. Today, Scotty Nguyen isn't the same player who once dominated the poker tables of Las Vegas. He's rather something more. He's a survivor, a mentor, and an advocate. He still plays poker, but he does it on his own terms. The previous flashy, over-the-top persona has given way to a more grounded, reflective individual. He's not chasing fame anymore, but chasing a better life instead. So what is the Prince of Poker up to now? Scotty's current life is a mix of poker, advocacy, and personal growth. He's involved in various charitable activities, using his platform to help others. He's spoken at numerous events, sharing his journey and inspiring others to seek help and stay strong. His message is clear: if he can overcome his demons, anyone can. Legacy is a big word, and for Scotty Nguyen, it's a complex one. His legacy isn't just his poker achievements, although those are also impressive enough. The legacy is more his journey of dealing with the highs and the lows, the victories and the defeats. It's about the lessons he learned along the way and the wisdom he now shares with others. Scotty's story is a reminder that life isn't just about winning, it's about how you handle losing and how you rise after a fall. Moreover, Scotty's impact in the poker world is undeniable. He brought a unique blend of charisma, skill, and entertainment to the game. He was a trailblazer, but more importantly, he became an inspiration for generations of poker players to come. His journey from the heights of poker fame to the depths of addiction and back to a life of purpose and advocacy shows his great strength and high spirit. As we look at Scotty Nguyen's life today, we see a man who has come full circle. He's faced his darkest days and came out of them stronger. He's passionate about using his experiences to help others and to leave a positive mark on the world. One thing's for sure, Scotty's story is far from over, and his ongoing journey will continue to inspire. So what do you think about Scotty Nguyen's journey? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay up to date with the world of poker, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more fun, thrilling, and sick poker videos coming your way.